そんなに泣かないで。俺まで辛くなっちゃうじゃん。
Private garden. A faint scent of ebony wafts through the moist air, while the shimmering sunlight gently scatters over the lotus pond in the courtyard. The monsters passing by are discussing the precious jewelry displayed in the hall, but you dare not let your guard down in this seemingly relaxed atmosphere. 5 o'clock position, another shift change for the guards. If this were just a simple private jewelry exchange, the guards wouldn't be rotated this often. You turn slightly to place the bouquet into another porcelain vase, pretending to arrange it while glancing over to secretly note down several unusual points. A year has passed since the theft case. Since then, you've become a junior agent and Hat Society had remained at peace. You thought this peace would last forever, but 10 days ago, the Omnispirits Bureau intercepted a tip-off. According to the tip-off, an ancient monster lord known as Zeng has been resurrected and is gathering monster race to instigate human-monster conflicts. To uncover the truth and gather critical intel, the Bureau sent you undercover as a flower monster attendant to infiltrate this place, the secret gathering spot mentioned in the tip-off. It is an elegant traditional courtyard located deep in the suburbs, rarely visited by outsiders, which claims to be hosting a 5-day private jewelry exchange event. I need to find a way to get a closer look inside. After arranging the bouquet into a beautiful display, you are about to find an excuse to leave when the Fox Clan supervisor raises her eyebrow and walks towards you. Her high heels click against the marble floor as she walks, and her expression is clearly displeased.
そこの新入り、何やってるの？花や草を扱うのはあなたたち花のあやかしの得意分野でしょ？何をそんなにもたついているわけ？
She always liked bullying newcomers. These past few days, she's been picking on you constantly, but for the sake of your task, you can only endure it without arguing back. Madam, I was just assigned here today. You put on a pitiful expression while quickly wondering how to respond, but before you can voice your excuse, a figure appears in front of you. He wraps his arms around your shoulder without hesitation, and his fingers casually brush past your ear.
黙ってな。俺が何とかする。
You can't help but hold your breath. The warmth of the robe on your shoulders, the gentle touch of his fingers on your ears, and that family voice all remind you of that day is him. Auction side. 6 months ago, at an overseas jewelry auction, you are disguised as a VIP while carrying out a secret task. The crystal chandelier sparkles magnificently, while soft melody plays gently in the background. Before the auction officially begins, people gather in the exhibition hall to admire the exhibits and chat with each other. You are among them too, wearing an expensive gown and costly jewelry, casually and naturally chatting with an elegantly dressed woman before you.
あなた、豪居市からいらしたんでしょ？私の記憶に間違いがなければ、あちらは翡翠が有名でしたね。
That's true. I happen to know some jadeite dealers. If you're interested, I'd be happy to make an introduction.
まあ、願ってもないことね。この出会いに乾杯。
Your goblets clink with a crisp sound as your gaze discreetly move past the lady landing on your target not far away who is chatting pleasantly with others. I should find a chance to keep watch. Wait, is that? A familiar figure appears in the corridor, just a few meters away from your target. You can't be mistaken. It's Marius. After the tough case is closed, you and Marius have become closer to each other, sometimes making it hard to tell where the boundaries lie. Where the boundaries lay. He seems very close to you, yet sometimes he shows restraint and keeps his distance. I didn't know Marius would be here too, though as the second in command of the Von Hagen auction house, his presence here makes perfect sense. But his condition looks... After confirming the target shows no unusual movements, your gaze returns to Marius' back. He sways unsteadily as he trembles against the wall, making his way toward the corner, seemingly trying hard to avoid the crowd. What's wrong with him? You can't just leave him alone. If anything happens to him, not only will it be hard to explain to the Von Hagen family, but it will definitely affect the task. Excuse me, madam. I'll be right back.
ええ、お構いなく。
You nod politely, place the goblet on a nearby metal tray, and quickly walk toward Marius. As you approach the corner of the corridor, something feels increasingly off about him. Marius, are you okay? He clutches his chest and struggles to turn his body to look around, as if trying to suppress some extreme impulse. The moment your eyes meet, you are startled to notice a faint black flower bud blooming on his cheek.
お姉さんだよね。助けて。お願い。力を貸して。
His eyes are misty with tears, a faint glimmer of light passing through his blurred vision. In less than a second, you make up your mind. Okay, what should I do? Halfway through your sentence, he leans forward and presses you against the corner. You instinctively try to resist, but he firmly pins your hand before you can react. He presses against your neck, his warm breath falling on your ear while his hair brushes against your skin, bringing a subtle tingling sensation.
拒まないで。このままじゃ間に合わなくなる。
Your clothes rustle as he draws even more closer. Though your position is intimate, there isn't a hint of romance at the moment. Agony tears at him like thorns, and the black flower bud growing on his cheek is so close and becomes increasingly noticeable. Tell me, what exactly is wrong with you? Without saying anything, he just opens his mouth and quickly leans closer to your ear, which makes you tense up and almost forget to breathe. In the next moment, what you feel is not the touch of kissing on your ear. Instead, you hear the sound of chewing on jewelry. Like a greedy and starving beast, he skillfully bites off and swallows the precious pearls hanging from the delicate metal branches. What is he eating pearls? Could it be related to Tao Tie? It is said that Tao Tie symbolizes greed, and gold and jewels had a special allure for its physical manifestation. Meanwhile, the Von Hagen family benefited from Tao Tie many years ago. Leaning against the cold grey wall, you suddenly recall the story between the Von Hagen family and Tao Tie. Perhaps only this could explain the strange and eerie situation you see right now.
ごめんね。あと少しだから。あと一つ。これを飲めば。
Suddenly, Marius speaks up, sounding a bit better. The pain that had been visible in his eyes seems to subside. The crunching sound of chewing pearls continues as you remain still, staying close with him. It's okay, as long as you're safe. At this point, you understand what's going on. He must be experiencing some kind of abnormal condition that can only be alleviated by eating jewels. The exhibition hall is as lively as ever. Thankfully, few eyes ever reach this corner, and occasional glances come their way but soon drift off, mistaking you as lovers lost in intimate games. But for you, this corner is far too quiet. The sounds of breathing, heartbeats, and chewing on pearls tangle in the air, making it impossible to tell them apart. As he finishes swallowing the pearls, the black bud finally disappears, and everything returns to normal. Marius finally returns to his usual self. He looks at you, his gaze wandering.
ごめん。とにかく緊急で。他に方法がなくてさ。ふざけてあんなことをしたわけじゃない。
I know you must have your reasons. Hearing your answer, Marius freezes for a few seconds.
さっきの俺の様子、見てただろ。怖くなかったのか。
The falling light casts shadows across his brow, and you've rarely seen Marius so ill at ease. His words bring back that intimate touch and every shared moment, whether it's a flutter of the heart or an intuitive trust, you already know the answer. Not at all. You're just you, and you'll always be the Marius that I know. I know something very complicated must have happened to you. But time is limited right now, and I still have a task to attend to. Could you tell me everything once this is all over? As the shadows dissipate, Marius turns his face toward the light, a gentle smile appearing on his face.
わかった。約束するよ。
Garden. After the auction ends and the task is successfully completed, you change back into your clothes and arrive at the promised garden where Marius is waiting under a tree. He stands there with his head lowered, fiddling with the beaded pendant at his waist. A breeze sweeps by and flower petals scatter, a scene reminiscing of the springtime scenery in the outskirts of Hatsu City. Hearing the approaching footsteps, Marius raises his head and releases his hand when he sees you. The azure beads clink against each other, making a crisp sound.
お姉さん、来てくれたんだ。
Yep, my task is complete. Now, let's hear your answer.
じゃあ、早速だけど、聞いてくれる？物語は、大昔に泉家のご先祖様が交わした、東鉄との取引から始まる。
Marius gazes at the horizon and sighs softly, as if finally gathering the courage to tear the things deep in his heart open.
その上古の時代、世は祝歌が生まれて、戦乱のただ中にあった。余人は泉家が東鉄と取引して利益を得たというけど、大金持ちになったのと引き換えに代償を払っていることは誰も知らない。
A price? The sunlight is dazzling and the fragrance of flowers is faint, yet Mary's tone remains cold.
ああ、とても重い代償だよ。東鉄は人間が抑えられるものじゃない。特殊な血を持つ泉家だから担えた役目でね。泉家の血を捧げる代わりに、人を害さないよう長い眠りにつく。誘惑に負けた東鉄は、このご先祖様の提案を飲んだ。もし泉家の歴史を遡れるなら、すぐに気づくだろう。泉の姓を持つ者が。祝歌の発生した時代から、45歳で寿命を迎えていることに。というわけで、この取引によって、東鉄の貪欲な本性は、うちに利益と災難をもたらしてくれたってわけ。
What? You suddenly remember Austin von Hagen, the former head of the von Hagen family and also Mary's father, who was mentioned during the theft case. The one who possesses demonic power usually have a longer lifespan than ordinary people. You thought Austin's death was an accident, but it turns out to be a curse that every member of his family must bear.
お姉さんは知らないだろうけど、寿命の他にも代償を払ってるんだ。眠りについた当鉄は、泉家の人間に取り付く。その人が死ねば、また別の人に乗り換える。それで憑依されたら、普通の人より感情の起伏が激しくなって、異常をきたすんだ。さっきの俺みたいに。
Marius lowers his eyes slightly, and that black flower bud grows once again as he speaks, climbing and blooming through blood and flesh. Without a doubt, he is Taoti's current host. You quickly realize that the black flower bud represents neither an end nor a beginning, but rather a fuse leading into the abyss. That black flower, what would happen if it bloomed?
開花するまでに宝石を飲んで抑えきれなかったら、俺は壊れるだろうね。おかしくなったまま死んでしまう。
So, you're saying that all the possessed members of the Von Hagen family would have to keep surprising themselves if they want to live out their 45 years in peace? You recalled his occasional cold expressions and restraint before, and finally realized that it was not aloofness, he was simply holding his true self in check.
そうだね。喜びも悲しみもほどほどに。わがまま厳禁。小さい頃から心を制御して、感情は受け流せ。と教わってきたよ。一切情緒を持たず、静かに穏やかに過ごすこと。ただの器みたいにね。まあ、そんな抑圧された生活に耐えきれなくて、自ら命を絶つ人も一族にはいたわけだけど。
Marius speaks with such indifference as if he had witnessed countless members of his family sink into lifeless water until they felt nothing at all. It's hard to believe that behind the glamorous and wealthy Von Hagen family lies such a desperate fate. Since the outbreak of the engulfing breath, they have maintained this transaction through countless years, bound and unable to break free, all to keep the Tauti asleep and harmless. Is there really no other way? Perhaps when the engulfing breath broke out, humans weren't strong enough. Now we can surely find another way to safely contain Tauti so that your family can live normally again. You subconsciously lean forward and grab onto Mary's sleeve. Hearing what you said, he frowned slightly before quickly relaxing, his expression softening.
正直に言うと、うちでは何代も前からその方法を探してきた。でも、見つかることはなかったんだ。今回と同じだよ。今日のオークションに役立ちそうな古物が出るって聞いたんだけど、まさかこんな影響を受けるとは思わなかった。
Marius?
安心しなよ。諦めるつもりはないからさ。まだ20年以上残ってるんだ。もっといい方法を見つけて、泉家に自由を取り戻してみせる。
Just then, the wind picks up again, scattering flower petals and gently lifting his hair. In Hexu City, everyone thinks he has got it all, but that's just a dazzling veneer. Beneath it, there is a cold and dark abyss of despair. Private Garden. Marius speaks up again, bringing your wandering thoughts back to the present moment. He holds you close and raises his eyebrows slightly as he looks at the Fox Clan supervisor.
主任さん、こんなか弱いあやかしに強く当たらなくてもいいんじゃないか？この花、結構悪くないと思うけどな。少し凝りすぎたからって怒らなくてもいいだろう。
あなたに何がいえ、泉様でしたか。
She recognizes that the one holding you is Marius from the Von Hagen auction house. She quickly bows, her previous displeasure instantly vanishing, replaced by a fawning smile.
泉様は親方様のお招きした特別なお客様でございますからね。ええ、仰せのままに。そちらの彼女の件は不問といたしましょう。
He's invited by her master. Before you can think it through, Marius smiles and rubs his arms around you even tighter.
話が早くて助かるよ。ところで、彼女がかなり好みだから部屋に連れて帰りたいんだけど。そっちには部下なんていくらでもいるし、お香を焚いたりお花を生けたりするのに、一人くらいいなくても大丈夫だよな。
どうぞどうぞ、泉様のお好きなようになさってくださいませ。
The supervisor nods repeatedly with an apologetic smile. Seeing this, Marius ignores her and turns to look at you with his head slightly raised.
さて、主任さんの許可ももらったし、可愛いお嬢さんにはついてきてもらおうかな。
Yes, Mr. Von Hagen. Inside the room. You follow Marius back to his room. He raises his hand to cast a barrier spell to prevent other monsters from prying. You look around in astonishment. This guest room is quite extraordinary. The entire room is filled with glittering gold and jewels, exuding an air of extravagant luxury. Recalling how the false clan supervisor had referred to him as an honored guest invited by her master, you feel confused once again. Marius, why are you here? Who invited you? After casting the spell, Marius walks to the daybed, lighting an elegant lotus incense. As the sparks light up and then extinguish, whiffs of fragrant smoke begin to drift through the room.
実はよく知らないんだよね。俺を招待した人にはまだ会えてないから。お姉さんはわざわざ花のあやかしに化けて妖怪種だけの集まりに忍び込むなんて、もしかして任務？
Yeah, the Bureau recently intercepted a tip-off. After the theft case, the Omnispirits Bureau established a partnership with the Von Hagen auction house, and you can freely exchange info with Marius. After some time, you share the leads about Zeng and the purpose of this infiltration task, while Marius tells you the reason why he was invited here. Did someone tell you that he knows how to completely suppress Tautier?
うん。今まで見たことがない特別な方法で送られてきたんだ。送り主はきっとただものじゃないだろうな。知っての通り、俺は東鉄を完全に抑える方法を探してる。疑わしい情報でもこの目で確かめるまでは信じることにしていてね。面会に応じてみたら宝飾サロンの名目で招待されて、この郊外にある別荘までやってきたってわけ。
Marius pauses for a moment, casually picking up an amber golden gem and twirling it in his hand. Under the lamplight, its golden lasso ripples across the curtains like ocean waves.
でも中に入ってみたら本当にサロンをやってたから驚いたな。おまけに参加者は妖怪種しかいないし。その人は俺をよく知ってるというか、うちと東鉄の取引をよくご存知で、わざわざこんな部屋を用意してくれたんだけど、後のことはわかるでしょ？展示会場に行ってみたら、あんたがいた。
I'm here on a task, and you're here by invitation. Though our reasons differ, this hardly seems like mere coincidence. The lotus incense is delicate and elegant, like a lotus blooming in July, but this fragrance brings no refreshing comfort. Instead, it only makes the atmosphere feel heavier. What does it mean for an encounter to be anything but chance? Zeng Tautier. Behind all the information you and Marius have gathered is probably a terrifying answer.
俺を呼び出したのはどんなやつなのか気になってたが、あんたの情報で見えてきたな。多分、そうだ。
Marius picks up first, his tone cool and serious, laying out a speculation you've been fighting to deny.
万霊長は知らない。 俺が東鉄を封印する方法を探してることも、それで俺を釣ろうとする誰かさんのことも。同じように、俺はあんたに会うまで聞いたこともなかった。蘇った僧が揉め事を起こそうとしてる、なんてな。この二つの情報を合わせると。
Then there is only one possibility. The tip of Israel. Zeng has indeed reappeared. Being an ancient monster with unique power and knowledge, he naturally knows how to surprise Tao Tie. He probably wants to set humans and monsters against each other by using you to unleash the Tao Tie. Tao Tie is the incarnation of desire. As long as it breaks free, it will strip every place bare of resources and seed it with malicious thoughts. After thoroughly analyzing the deductions, Marius and you fall into silence, with only the dazzling light of the gem scattering throughout the room. The situation is becoming more tricky and dangerous. If your suspicions are correct, staying here any longer would most likely end in tragedy.
気づかれる
Quick,
前にこ
leave
こを
before
離れ
they
て。
find out. You and Marius look at each other and speak at the same time, and then freeze again. At this moment, you both desperately hope the other would leave before things get worse. As a member of the Omnispirit's Bureau, I have to see and investigate what's going on in this situation. I can't just withdraw. Besides, I have a monster detector from the Bureau that can analyze a monster's true form. Once I get a chance to meet that person, I'll be able to confirm his identity. You are different. You're the second in command at Von Hagen Auction House, and your family can't do without you. Not to mention Tao Tie's influence on you. Just listen to me. Before he invites you to meet, find a chance to live first. The incense stick has burned out, its ashes scattered across the holder. Marius firmly looks at you and shakes his head.
ダメだ。俺は招待客で、ここにいるあやかし全員に顔が割れてるから。こんな時に理由もなく離れたら怪しまれる。むしろ、花のあやかしになりすましてたあんたなら、いなくなっても不審に思われないだろう。お姉さん、俺の言うことを聞いて先に離れなよ。あいつの正体は代わりに確かめとくからさ。
Marius! For a moment, Marius and you are at a stalemate, neither of you able to convince the other to leave first for safety's sake. The atmosphere becomes somewhat awkward as neither of you would budge an inch. Suddenly, someone knocks on the door.
泉様、我が主がお呼びです。
Before you can react, Marius sits down on the D-bed, wraps his arms around your waist affectionately, and then lowers his head to lean in close to you.
こうなった以上は仕方ないか。お姉さん、よく聞いて。面会にあんたも連れてくようお願いしてみる。隙を見て分容器を使ってくれ。
The thin smoke still lingers in the room, but you immediately understand the expectation hidden in his eyes. Very well, since no one is willing to step back, you two may go together. You nod while leaning slightly against Marius, showing your cooperation and willingness.
入れ。
Everything is ready when Marius speaks lazily. Upon receiving permission, a server enters the room and respectfully bows to Marius.
お休みのところ失礼いたします。これから泉様とお話がしたいと主が待っております。
へえ、俺って客がいたことを忘れたのかと思ったよ。
ご冗談を。泉様ほどのお方を無下にするはずがございません。ですが、何かと時間が取れず、お会いするのが遅くなってしまいました。どうかお気を悪くなさらないでください。
まあいいや。十分休んだし外に出てもいい。案内は頼んだぞ。ああ、そうだ。彼女も行くから。
Marius playfully twirls a strand of your hair between his fingers, fingers showing his affection for you. You glance up and smile at the server with the pose typical of a flower monster. He looks at Marius and you, his expression bewildered.
その、主は泉様お一人でのご来訪を望んでおりまして。
ふーん。親方様のお客様ってのは誰をどこに連れて行くかも決められないのか。あんたが教えてくれるまで知らなかったが、今そう言ったよな。
Marius immediately puts on a cold face and says some harsh words, leaving the server speechless. It takes several seconds before he comes to his senses and lets out a helpless sigh.
そんな、めっそうもない。泉様の仰せのままに。どうぞ、お二方をご案内いたします。
Corridor. A long corridor connects the pavilions by the water with red and brown lanterns hanging beneath the upturned eaves at each corner. The server leads the way while Marius and you follow slowly behind. When you first infiltrated, you were curious as to why the whole courtyard looked so quaint without a trace of modern architecture. Come to think of it, if Zeng is the owner of the courtyard, it makes perfect sense that he, being an ancient monster lord, would favor the traditional style. Could it really be him? You can't help but feel worried, and you even find yourself hoping that the monster detector wouldn't point to this answer.
お姉さん、緊張してる？顔色が悪いみたいだけど。
You feel warm breath by your ear as Marius says these concerned words. You glance at the server leading the way ahead. He is far enough that he probably can't hear the whispers. It's nothing, just that the monster detector needs to scan its face for accurate identification. I'm thinking about how to find the right opportunity.
心配しないで。俺が何とかする。万が一危険な目にあっても、俺がそばにいるから。
Okay. The fading daylight gently falls on you and Marius. The storm is coming and you're both on the same boat, with no turning back. Reception room. After winding through several long corridors and passing a waterside pavilion, you follow the server and finally arrive in the hall deep within the courtyard. As you enter, you see light-colored curtains hang all over the room, fluttering gently as the breeze drifts through the windows. In the hall, a man stands with his hands behind his back.
親方様、泉様がお見えになりました。
下がれ。
The server bows slightly and leaves through the door, leaving the three of you alone. After a few seconds of silence, a man referred to as the master turns around. His ageless face gives no hint of years. He wears a dark blue robe embroidered with golden patterns and adorned with buttons made of vermilion jade. His gaze is first fixed on Marius, and then he notices your presence and raises his eyebrows.
お会いできて光栄です、泉殿。貴殿を招くのに随分と苦労しました。まさか花のあやかしをはべらせてくるとは思いませんでしたが。
He gives a casual greeting, but his eyes are sharp with scrutiny. His reaction is quite similar to that of Zeng. It is said that Zeng has always looked down on humans with great arrogance, believing that monsters are the most supreme beings. Therefore, to him, the boundary between humans and monsters shall never be crossed. Marius doesn't show the slightest hint of timidity in his observing gaze. He gently takes your hand and pulls you closer to him.
俺もお会いできて嬉しいです。部屋に引きこもっていたら退屈しますし。何より、彼女のことがありますからね。感謝の念に耐えません。あなたの招待があったおかげで、俺は彼女と再会できました。
おう。
He puts on an air of a curious, sorry listener, seemingly genuinely interested in the past between Marius and you. Your gaze briefly meets that of Marius as he holds your palm tightly. His expression is composed and gentle, and you instantly understand what he is thinking. Lies constructed from facts are the hardest to discern, and they require a mutual cooperation. During this conversation, you can find a way to use the monster detector. Withdrawing his gaze, Marius touches his lips as if severing the memories of when you first met.
初めて彼女と会ったのは、半年前にあったオークション会場でした。そこで一目惚れしてしまいまして。あの時、オークションでちょっとしたトラブルに巻き込まれて、彼女に助けられたのがとても印象的だったのです。ただ残念ながら、彼女は姿を消してしまった。名前もどこに住んでいるかも聞けないまま、どれだけ探しても見つかりませんでした。
With that, Marius lowers his eyes and lets out a sigh as the breeze rises in the room. His voice is filled with regret.
オークションが終わった後は、人生なんかこんなものか。俺たちは結ばれない運命だったんだと、やけくそになりましてね。第一、種族が違う。豪居市に戻れば、二度と会えなくなるでしょう。それが、こちらに招待されてみれば彼女がいたんです。まさに夢に見た再会ですよ。こんな運命の導きを見逃す理由はないと思いませんか？
Marius' words remind you of that intimate moment, making you feel embarrassed as you raise your hands to cover your face, like a flower monster showing her shyness when she's in love. You hide the detector in your palm, swiftly and silently scanning it across his face as you raise your hand. The detector's energy is so minimal that it wouldn't draw any attention. 6 months ago, I accidentally stumbled into that auction where I had Master Marius, but I was kicked out then. But ever since then, I've often thought back to that day. I know I'm just a little flower monster, so I dare not hope for too much. I was very surprised to see him today. I never expected that he would remember me all this time. Your timely explanation makes that encounter more convincing, and the suspicion in his eyes disappears. But his expression doesn't lighten up. His gaze shifts between you and Marius as if trying to interpret the story from a different angle.
なるほど。人は些細なことで心を乱し、恋にうつつを抜かすと聞きます。泉殿が運命の導きとやらを信じるのも理解しましょう。ですが、妖怪種は人間種よりもはるかに長い時を生きる。数十年、数百年が限度の寿命など、我々には爪の先ほどもない。花のあやかし、お前は泉殿を思うと言ったが、覚悟の上か？
The man speaks again, but this time he brings a question to you. At the same moment, the monster detector in your palm begins to vibrate slightly, indicating it has reached a result. You lower your head, pretending to ponder his question while actually glancing at the detector in your hand. An ancient character comes into view, making you forget to breathe. It's Sung. It really is him. Thinking of what he just said, he is not just testing your true feelings for Marius. In fact, he is condescendingly warning you as a member of monster race. Humans are short-lived and fitted for heartbreak, unworthy of even being mentioned alongside the monster race. However, given the current dangerous situation, Marius and you cannot afford to create any misunderstandings that would drive you apart. Steadying yourself, you look at him and give a slight curtsy, responding with composed dignity. In response to your question, yes, I believe in my choice and in his love.
信じるか。
He responds in a measured tone, making it impossible to tell if he is pleased or angry. During the pause, you tug at Marius close. Seeing your furrowed brows, he immediately figures out who the man really is. Marius is about to say something, but before he can make a sound, the man's eyes flicker slightly, and the specks of light floating in the air instantly gather and condense into a mass. You've never seen this type of technique before, but from the particle fluctuations you could tell he is robbing your demonic power. You hold your breath to maintain your composure. Over the years, the Omnispirit's Bureau has perfected its disguise techniques. You believe that even if he is an ancient monster, he can't possibly see through it at a glance. The room falls silent with only the curtains swaying gently. The light changes from colorless to deep purple before dispersing into mist. His eyes flicker with a hint of intrigue as if plotting something.
これは予想外の収穫。いいだろう。話はここまでだ。
He casually dismisses you with a few words, and without waiting for your response, he turns to look at Marius.
そろそろ本題に入りましょうか。泉殿が最も関心のある例の件に。
やっとですか。ずいぶんじらしてくれましたね。
大事なものほど最後に取っておけ。と言いませんでしたか？私は古の秘術を得得しているのです。貴殿が協力してくださるなら、当鉄は二度と泉の一族を脅かすことはないと保証しましょう。
He speaks with absolute certainty, clearly confident in his secret technique, but Marius doesn't immediately show any excitement. Instead, his expression reveals a hint of doubt. At this point, Marius should not yet know his true identity, so this thought is only natural.
正直に言わせてもらえば、それっぽい封印の術とやらは今まで山ほど聞いてきたのです。しかし、そのほとんどがペテンでした。儀式に必要なものが現存しておらず、見つけられないこともありましたっけ。あなたは、古の秘術で当鉄を封印できると言いましたが、根拠もなく簡単に信じるとでも？
根拠
Instead of answering, he laughs, his laughter growing more maniacal as a sudden gale sweeps through the room, and dark grey clouds begin to swirl around his body. The lamp falls, casting flickering light in the room. White curtains dance widely in the air like ghostly apparitions. Against the gust of eerie wind, Marius and you can barely keep your balance. When the commotion subsides, who weatherman once stood is now empty, replaced by a fierce beast resembling a red leopard with 5 teeth and a single horn. Before he even speaks, the ancient monster's overwhelming presence sweeps over like a surging wave, sending chills down your spine. Without a doubt, it is Zeng, revealing his true form. Despite being mentally prepared, Marius and you can't help but take half a step back, your palms growing cold. Seeing your reactions, he bares his sharp teeth, seemingly quite pleased.
泉慶よ、今一度私を見るがいい。この姿に見覚えはあるな。それでも根拠を問うというのか。
そう。
Lord Zeng. You hurriedly fall to your knees with a thud, pretending to be scared. After all, this is how a minor monster should act in front of an ancient monster lord. However, Zeng doesn't even spare you a glance, still staring intently at Marius.
いかにも、かの名高き僧とは私のこと。皆私を死んだと語るが、あいにくとこの世に生きている。
What? Could it be that he didn't come back from the dead, but rather... You feel a pang of anxiety as you realize things are far worse than you'd imagined. But before you can think it through, a strange sound comes from beside you. You turn to see Marius on one knee with a painful look, his hand clutching his chest. A thin layer of sweat appears on his forehead as black patterns begin to faintly emerge on his cheeks. Marius, how could he? At this moment, Zen takes a few steps forward, with 5 long tails swaying leisurely behind him. He glances at Marius and speaks softly, his tone unsurprised.
花のあやかしよ。お前は泉殿を部屋に連れて帰れ。存分に英気を養ってから、また話を聞こう。
Inside the room, you hurriedly support Marius back to the room and help him sit down in the D-bed. He looks much worse now than he did 6 months ago. The black bud on his cheek has already appeared, showing signs of blooming, while the mist gathers behind Marius more intense than ever before. His face twists in agony, the veins on the back of his hand protruding like winding green snakes. Fortunately, he is still conscious enough to grab the precious pearl necklace beside him and swallow it to suppress the fluctuations. Perhaps from swallowing too hastily after gulping down several beads, he suddenly covers his mouth and starts coughing.
水を。
Okay. You quickly walk over to the table and pour him a cup of water, but your hands can't stop trembling. You are so worried about him, yet you don't know what else you can do. What's going on? He didn't show any strong emotional fluctuations just now. The fragrant tea quickly fills the porcelain cup. Just as you are about to walk while holding the cup, you hear a clattering noise coming from ahead. What's going on? You anxiously look up, searching for Marius, only to see a thick mist swirls around Marius, appearing and disappearing until it finally condenses into the shadowy form of a beast. Marius sits lazily on the floor, leaning against the daybed with piles of gold and jewels surrounding him. He tilts his head up to meet your gaze, leisurely severing another necklace with both hands. A bewitching purple light flashes in his eyes. There is no pain left in his eyes, only joy and indulgence. Even the black flower that had appeared earlier vanishes completely. You lose your grip on the cup. With a loud clatter, the white porcelain cup shatters into pieces as tea spills all over the floor. Without a doubt, the person before you is Marius, yet at the same time, it's not him. Who are you? Hearing your question, Marius lightly licks his fingertips, a mischievous smile appeared playing across his face. As his lips part slightly, the shadow of the beast sways with him.
誰か。あんたならわかると思うけど、俺があんたをよく知ってるようにね。
You are Tauti. No matter how slow you are to realize that long sharp horn and those greedy eyes have already said it all, only he can possess Marius' body and then awaken. Did the power of Zeng's true form resonate with you?
ご名答。
Then what did you mean by the second half of your sentence? He laughs again, but unlike Marius' bright demeanor, it is a wicked laugh filled with surging desire. His fingers caress the beaded necklace near his lips, and even the elegant lotus incense takes on an intoxicating scent.
今まで眠っていたが、あいつの意識はずっと見えていたんでね。お姉さん知ってた？俺の夢の中も、心の中も、あんたでいっぱいなんだよ。
You! He extends his hand as if the real Marius is inviting you into the dreams. The lotus incense paints a scene into a mesmerizing yellow hue, as if a simple yes would open the door to paradise. Suddenly, the sound of a falling pearl rings out, and then the vision of Marius under the tree from a half a year ago, along with his expression at that time, flashes through your mind. No, it's not him. Only Tao Te can draw out one's deepest, most hidden desires and amplify them, making people lose themselves in them. After coming to your senses, you quickly cast a calming spell to calm your mind from the influence of Tao Te. That was close. I almost fell for your trick. No more tricks. Give Marius back right now. Seeing that you regain composure, he closes his eyes in disappointment while shaking his head, as if he has lost his appetite for the jewels that symbolize desire.
つまんないな。せっかく目覚めたってのに、面白い見せ物の一つも見られないなんて。まあいいか。焦らなくてもいい。俺もこの状態を長く維持できるわけじゃない。あんたの愛しい彼は、もうすぐ戻ってくるよ。
As he speaks, he swallows another pearl, greedily savoring the last taste. In an instant, the monster's form gradually fades away, dissolving back into thick mist. Marius' expression begins to twist, his earlier ease vanishing as his brows furrow tightly. The blackbird is becoming more prominent on his cheek.
俺、今。
Marius' consciousness regains control of his body, and he seems to be confused about the situation. You grab his hand and try to comfort him, but the searing pain makes him tremble and mumble uncontrollably, while the beaded pearls keep slipping from his hand.
そうか、目の前に。お姉さんは大丈夫だった。変な影響受けてないよね。
I'm right here. I'm fine. But you...
お姉さん。
His massive bangs cling to his forehead with sweat. As he reaches out to you once again, his eyes shimmer with an indescribable yearning. After feeding Marius many pieces of jewelry, the black flower on his face finally fades away, but his expression returns to normal. And he leans against the debut with his arms hanging limply as if he has just exhausted all his strength, while the incense in the room continues to emit a subtle and elegant fragrance. You gaze at Marius' profile, hesitating to ask if he still remembers everything from when Tao Te possessed his body. If he... Maybe it's better that he doesn't remember. There are more pressing matters at hand, and we can't afford to be distracted. Seeing beads of sweat on Marius' forehead, you quickly take out your handkerchief to wipe it away, but just as you touch his skin, he suddenly comes to his senses and grabs your wrist.
お姉さん、早く逃げて。これ以上ここにいるのはダメだ。
Why so sudden?
なんで宋が本性を表したと思う。強い影響を受けたら変異を起こすと知っていたのに。あいつは俺が苦しみに負けて協力すればいいと思ったんだろう。
You feel a chill down your spine as you recall his indifferent expression earlier. None of this is a coincidence. It is all part of his plan, a meticulously woven trap. He's so shameless. This is nothing but blackmail.
分かってやってるんだよ。この機会を簡単に逃すわけないだろうってさ。何年も探し求めてやっと見つけた希望だから。何があっても封印するために諦めないと思ってここまで俺を追い詰めた。でもお姉さんは違うでしょ。あんたは当鉄と関係ない。ここに残らなきゃいけない理由もない。今ならまだ間に合う。早く逃げるんだ。あんな変異今まで一度もなかった。そうは復活する前よりはるかに強くなったのかもしれない。俺たちで叶う相手じゃない。
Marius speaks with increasing anxiety, his genuine concern shining through every word. The path ahead is far too dangerous, and he just wants you to abandon everything to stay safe. You can't help but gently pat the back of his hand, trying to get him to relax a bit. Since he is fearless of danger, how could you choose to escape for the sake of safety? Who says I don't have a reason to stay? I still have you. Just now, in front of Zheng, I expressed my true feelings for you, and you did the same. Besides, he didn't notice my true identity and believe I was a real flower monster. If I leave abruptly now, he'll get suspicious. That would be like pushing you into a sea of flames with my own hands.
だとしても、言い訳なんかいくらでも思いつく。
Marius still won't budge, trying to persuade you to leave. You shake your head at him just as firmly as he had done earlier. Do you remember what you said to me in the corridor? I'm returning those words to you now. Even if there's any danger, I'll stay right by your side.
お姉さん。あんたって。
Finally letting go of his inner struggle, he calls out to you softly, his voice filled with indescribable emotions.
わかったよ。じゃあ、ソウには秘術について詳しく聞こう。で、逃げるかどうかは後で決める。
The still burning lotus incense wafts out a lingering fragrance of intimacy. The white silk handkerchief that fell on the floor gleams as pure and flawless as moonlight. Suddenly, you hear another knock on the door. It seems the time Zheng mentioned for the next meeting has arrived. Forbidden forest behind the mountain. It is the same server who leads you away from the courtyard to the back hill. The hill is shrouded in mist with towering trees so dense that no sunlight could penetrate through. As you continue deeper through the forest, the mist has already dampened your clues. Suddenly, your vision becomes brighter as you walk into an open space. You see a stone platform with pillars on all four sides. Both the platform surface and pillars are carved with intricate patterns, while ritual candles and ceremonial objects are scattered all over the ground. This clearly is an altar. At this time, Zheng is still in his human form. He stands next to the bronze cauldron at the center of the altar, waiting for Marius and you. Upon seeing you two, he looks somewhat delighted.
宣告ぶりになるな、泉殿。あの変異の反動は辛かったのではないか？だいぶ回復したように見えるが。
お客様でいてほしいなら、あんな真似をするべきじゃなかったな。
Hearing that Marius has exposed his previous trap, Zheng doesn't seem embarrassed or unnatural, simply pulling his lips into an ambiguous smile.
そう怒るな、泉殿。悪気はなかった。ああしたのは、身をもって痛みを知り、意識を奪われる感覚を味わってこそ、人間は本当の望みに気づくと考えたからに過ぎない。どうだ、違ったか？
Marius frowns and is about to say something, but Zheng waves his hand to indicate that he doesn't need to answer.
今返事をする必要はない。それよりも面白いものを見てみないか。
You stand silently beside Marius as this is a gamble between him and Zheng. Marius remains silent, neither agreeing nor refusing. After all, silence is an answer too. After a few seconds, Zheng nods knowingly and then casually raises his hand, gently drawing a strand of demonic energy from the humid air. He gathers the energy and forcefully throws it into the bronze cauldron. In an instant, with a swoosh, brilliant crimson flames burst forth from within. The raging flames grow higher and higher, nearly licking Zhen's face. Gradually, the demonic fire ignited by the ancient monster distorts time and penetrates through it as images begin to appear. Huh?
これは。
その目でしかと見るといい。当鉄が貴殿ら泉の一族に何をもたらしたのかを。
Along with Zheng's somber words, all the consequences Marius had once told you about play out one by one in the crimson flames. One after another, images of his family members who had been possessed by Tao Tie appear. Some have gone mad, while others are as lifeless as walking corpses. Some scream as they jump off the buildings, unwilling to bear this inescapable curse, while others struggle fiercely only to be devoured by the black flowers dragged into the abyss. After their demise, firelight illuminates the rows of tombstones in the silent mountain forest. No one lives past 45, knowing when they will die from the moment of birth is a cruel torture. What's more painful than facing death is being the one who kneel before the tombstones, cloaked in black veils, silently swallowing their bitter tears. Your heart aches so badly that you can't bear to watch anymore. These few scenes alone are enough to fill you with despair and anguish. How much worse must it have been for Marius who has lived through it all? But the flames don't spare him, still burning relentlessly. Beneath the glamorous facade of his family lies nothing but scars. The countless tombstones dissipate like mist, and what appears next is Austin von Hager's coffin. The stern former head of the family is lying quietly among white flowers, as if sleeping peacefully.
父さん。
Marius lets out a soft cry filled with longing and pain. When you turn to look at him, he clenches his fists, forcing himself to close his eyes and steady his breathing. Indeed, being possessed by Tao Tie is his prison, where he cannot fully express his joys and sorrows, forever unable to be truly free. The scenes of past scatter away as the flames finally die out, leaving only a wisp of smoke drifting in the air. Marius just can't shed any tears, and he doesn't. You move closer to Marius, gently caressing the back of his hand to give him some comfort. Marius,
心配しないで。俺は大丈夫だから。
Marius speaks in a soft tone as if he doesn't want you to worry, and you know that the scenes just now, he has been through them too many times. He takes another deep breath and lets out a long exhale, his expression returning to normal. You also collect yourself and follow his gaze, looking towards Zheng. Zheng has been watching you two since the moment the flames lit up. Even in his human form, he still has the arrogance in his eyes. Perhaps he is hoping that Marius' emotions and your attitude toward humans would all fall within his expectations. Your eyes meet, and Marius is the first to speak.
わざわざこんな記憶を見せてきたお前の狙いは分かってる。さっきの変異による肉体的苦痛も、泉家の過去がもたらす精神的苦痛も、東鉄との取引を思い知れってことだろう。うちがどれだけ犠牲を払ってきたかをな。俺がこの痛みに目を曇らせて、一族の自由と引き換えに協力を願い出れば万々歳ってわけだ。だがおあいにくさま、お前が思うほど俺は感情的な人間じゃないんでね。秘術について教えるのが先だ。協力するかどうかはそれから考える。この条件が飲めないなら話すことはない。
The wind rustles through the fallen leaves on the ground as Marius speaks with unwavering resolve. Hearing that, a hint of excitement flashes through Zheng's eyes, and he claps his hands in satisfaction.
実に素晴らしい。泉殿はいつも私の想像を超えてくれる。ああ、貴殿が人間でなければ良い友にもなれただろうに。なれば、私も誠意を持って貴殿に伝えよう。
The cold light of sky slants through, passing over the bronze cauldron and casting a solemn light on Zheng's face. He pauses for a moment before speaking again.
東鉄を完全に封じる秘術とは、古の太陽のみが知る風霊の儀式。その真言はこうだ。金石に開き、根木を陣とし、 100代の赤き目のを砕いて1000年の揚力を解くべし。天変生じるとき、東鉄気となりて太より入れて、脱退せしめて行元となる。羅世の間に閉じて、ここに因果を立てり。しかして風霊なれば、そは死なず領衆の身なり。万古千秋、反言あたわざるなり。
In other words, the ritual has to be performed on a day of metal and stone in the land of Trapwood using the once in a century crimson jade as a catalyst. And it requires a 1,000-year-old monster to sacrifice its own power to activate it in order to finally separate and seal away Tautier. You can't help but ask first which draws Zeng's attention. He raises his eyebrows slightly as he looks at you, his tone somewhere between appreciation and something more mysterious.
一回の花のあやかしにしては物知りのようだ。言葉の意味を正確に捉えている。おおむね正しい解釈だが、最も大事なことが抜けている。羅世の間に入れて、ここに因果を立てり。要するに、東鉄を剥がした後にできる行元を、一羅世という限られた時間内に器に封印しなければならない。もしそれが叶わなければ、これまでの努力は水泡に帰して呪い返しを受ける。
Marius remains silent until a withered leaf falls onto his shoulder. He gently brushes it away before raising his head.
へえ、誠意は本物みたいだな。つまり、俺の思い違いでなければ、お前の欲しいものは行元が入った器なんだろう？
賢い者との話は実に楽しいな。
まだ疑問はある。行元が器に入れば、東鉄は完全に封印される。死んでないから復活もしない。永遠に囚われた魂を手にして、お前に何の得がある？
Marius' question is sharp and direct. Upon hearing this, Zen gently props up his chin.
泉殿、我々は住む世界が違う。相入れぬ存在ゆえに、たとえ善意からと言っても信じますまい。とはいえ、この東鉄の行元を閉じ込めた器が世に二つとない宝であることは確かだろう。精神統一に跳躍や練炭術、まあいかようにも使い道はある。あやかしにとってはこの上ない需要に優れた一品なのだ。それに東鉄とて名を馳せた太陽だ。いつまでも泉の血に縛られるのではなく、同胞の役に立てと思うのも自然だろう。早い話、私と貴殿で利害は一致している。貴殿の一族が短命に終わらず、生涯の自由と安寧を手にすることを約束しよう。
His words are full of temptation, as if by agreeing now Marius could obtain that vibrant, unlimited freedom and life without any price to pay ever again. The explanation he gave about cannibalism among the same kind, though cruel at first glance, makes sense in a way. Marius furrows his brow slightly, showing a mix of belief and doubt.
短命に終わらず、生涯の自由と安寧を手にする。その言葉、信じるからな。
泉殿、私は世間ではあっきら説のように言われるが、嘘は好まぬたちでな。貴殿とて、小野が一族はもう十分人間のために命と時間を費やしてきたと考えているのだろう。よもや、この機会を逃す気ではあるまいな。一つ忠告しておく。儀式を執り行う金石の日だが、あさっての羊の刻を逃せば、この先60年は訪れないぞ。
Your heart skips a beat as you quickly calculate with your fingers, and after double checking, you find that Zeng is right. You slightly turn and give Marius a nod. Your eyes meet, and he understands both your meaning and Zeng's intentions. After you learn the details of the secret technique, Zeng doesn't leave any room for you to leave. Instead, he uses the urgency of time to force Marius to make a decision. In times like this, it's even more important to stay calm. After a few seconds, Marius slowly adjusts his lips and gestures for you to come closer, his eyes half closed with a hint of weariness.
今日はさすがに疲れた。一晩休んでから考えることにするよ。
Hearing Marius change the subject, Zeng smiles slyly, not angry at all.
私も無粋ではない。貴殿の心情はよくわかった。人間の心は複雑で、一つの道を選ぶのも簡単ではないのだろう。とはいえ私も時間を浪費したくはない。泉殿、どうか私を退屈させないでくれたまえよ。
Marius raises his eyebrows and glances at Zeng without answering. He then pulls you out of the altar, leaving behind the cold light of the sky. The mountain breeze whispers softly, making this deserted place feel even more desolate. As Zeng watches you walk away and disappear into the forest, his pupils suddenly turn into vertical, glowing with an eerie red light.
私を失望させるなよ、泉家。人間ごときにこの上古の太陽がここまで慈悲を尽くしてやったのだ。それを無下にするのであれば不本意ではあるが、手を汚すことになっても仕方あるまい。
The sun begins to sink into the horizon as a dark night is about to drape the sky in a raven-feathered cloak. Suddenly, as if remembering something, Zen stares into the distance, his tone growing increasingly cold.
あの花のあゆかしめ、やけに物知りだったが、人間に馴染みすぎて生死などに同情するとは、奇特なやつだ。
Garden. By the time you return to the courtyard, it's already night. After dinner, instead of going back to your rooms, you make an excuse to take a stroll in the garden and dismiss the server who has been following you. The night is dark as ink, with a full moon hanging high in the sky. Garden's low lamps cast a warm glow, and as you walk deeper into the garden, you find a quiet, secluded spot.
あさっての金石の日、羊の時だって。はあ、俺が逃げないように全部計算づくってわけだ。
You don't respond. Instead, you move closer to Marius, take out the monster detector hidden in your palm, and show it to him. The dark sky and being so close make your movements hard to see. To others, it just looks like a little flower monster trying to get close to a human. This is all the information shown on the detector. I didn't have time to read it all earlier. The screen of the detector is teardrop shaped, smaller than half a palm, which requires one to scroll up and down to read the results in full. The scrolling through the screen with his index finger, Marius' expression turns to shock halfway through.
ちょっと待った。この分析結果が正しいなら、もう1000年以上生きてることになる。大昔に殺されて蘇ったって話と矛盾しない？
When he revealed his true form earlier, he mentioned that everyone thought he was dead, but he was still alive. That's when I started to have my suspicions. Now, combined with the results from the detector, I can confirm that Zeng isn't a case of resurrection as the tip suggested. Instead, during the engulfing breath outbreak, he wasn't completely eliminated and left something like remnant souls hidden in the world to quietly accumulate power. That's precisely how he managed to spend so much time and effort probing into your family's secrets and getting everything in place.
ずっと好機を伺っていて、この千載一遇のチャンスにかけて 俺をおびき寄せたのか。
The ancient altar in the forest, the crimson jade buttons adorning the robe, the resonance that drew out Taute, and the scenes of the Voinhagen family's past. When you piece these details together, you realize that this is a meticulously arranged game. Zeng is playing against Marius, betting on Marius' time and temperament. Then, what he said about cannibalism and using Taute's essence as nourishment, it was probably just a lie to get you to cooperate.
なるほどね。あいつの力がとっくに昔より強くなってることを差し引いても、あれだけの対応なら、こんな面倒なことしなくても、揚力を増やす方法なんていくらでもあるってわけか。
What should we do next? Time is running out and Zeng will definitely keep an eye on you. Whether you agree or not, we need to come up with a plan. Marius remains silent. The moonlight falls upon his face, scattering star-like gleams across his cheeks. He props his chin up thoughtfully and after a moment looks up at you.
もしかすると、答えは謎そのものの中にあるかもしれないな。
Hmm? You are slightly puzzled, while Marius gently raises an eyebrow as the night breeze ruffles his hair.
俺を利用して東鉄を手に入れたいなら、儀式の時に何かしてくるだろう。それが鍵になるんじゃないかな。
He would probably act right after the separation during the ritual. His intention is not to surprise, but to release.
そんなところだと思う。あいつが説明した儀式の手順に問題があるか、俺たちを誘導しようとしてるのか。
You two start recalling the ritual incantations mentioned by Zeng. The silvery moonlight wraps over Marius and you like a delicate veil. The incantations went like this, with metal and stone as the key and imprisoned wood as the guard. Shatter the crimson jade of 100 years to seal a beast of 1,000 winters' cultivation. Heaven and earth shall run asunder, and Taute's force is torn from flesh. When bound into a single essence,
ラヨの間
it
に
must
閉
be
じて。
sealed within the cascade's breath.
そ
A
の
moment's
器って。
fate, less cost endure. Cascade? Marius and you speak in unison, both instinctively doubting about the cascade mentioned by Zeng, which is also the only part you couldn't fully decipher.
あの時、そうは器が何かを説明しなかった。行言を閉じ込める器は、ただの器じゃないかもしれない。
In other words, it is possible that the condensed essence form of the stripping Taoti from you can't be sealed inside a cascade. Right?
その可能性は高いな。だったらあいつの要求も納得できる。器に行言を封印できないなら、きっと東鉄を蘇らせる方法を知ってるんだ。
Having analyzed up to this point, you feel somewhat relieved, thinking you are getting infinitely closer to the answer. But when you think it through, it kind of weighs on your mind. But there is still time limitation. If our analysis is correct, what could we use to contain the Taotiest essence in such a short time? Hearing your question, Marius freezes. Suddenly the light in the corner of the garden goes out, leaving his back in darkness. Marius stands in the shadows, his hair glistening with a silver glow. The answer, unknown to anyone, turns into raven feathers representing an unseen danger.
俺もわからないけど、簡単な方法じゃないだろうな。風霊の儀式のことは、長生きの太陽くらいしか知らないみたいだし、俺たちは臨機応変にやるしかない。
As Marius' tone grows serious, you inexplicably recall the scrutinizing gaze Zeng casts upon you at the altar in the back hill. Your palms feel cold because you have a bad feeling about this.
お姉さん？ぼんやりしちゃってどうしたの？もしかして寒い？
Noticing your gaze, Marius speaks with concern and even tries to take off his outer robe and put it on you. Fine, I'm not cold. It's just I have a feeling that Zeng is starting to suspect me. Come to think of it, I probably didn't act very monster-like earlier at the altar when I heard about what happened to your family. Marius lowers his eyes thoughtfully, and after a moment he looks back up and gently pats your shoulder.
今はまだ彼も態度を変えてないから大丈夫。でも次に会う時はもっと慎重になった方がいいね。
His tone is resolute, and for some reason, his words help you feel a little more at ease. I hope I'm just overthinking it. I don't want to make things more complicated. But back to the matter at hand, what should we do next? Should we agree? You've circled back to the same problem you started with. The day of Metal and Stone is just 2 days away, and you two need to come up with a plan. Whether to refuse Zheng's proposal and find a way to escape in time, or to pretend to cooperate and see what happens. The light flickers just like the two choices before you. The moon shifts slightly, bathing Marius in a silvery glow. Instead of answering, he gazes straight at you.
お姉さんはあんただったらどうする？
Me? Looking at Marius, you are at a loss for words, while the gleam in his eye seems to be seeking your answer. If, for the sake of safety, it would undoubtedly be wisest to escape now and seek help, rather than give Zheng any chance to unleash Tao Tie. But that essentially amounts to letting the thread loose. Zheng has already lurked in the world for centuries. It could easily hide longer, biding its time for the next opportunity. Next time, we'll have no idea when we'll have another chance to catch him again. You analyze everything logically, but gradually start to favor one choice over the other. The night breeze stirs and lifts the corners of Marius' clothes, revealing the red lining of his robe that stands out vividly in the darkness. Right, there's still something weighing on your heart. Marius only has about 20 years left. If you accept Zheng's proposal to start the ritual, perhaps there is still hope to fulfill Marius' wishes, so that he can live a life of freedom and indulgence in the future. At the midnight under the full moon, you give him your answer. I think I'll still take the risk and give it a try. In the soft moonlight, Marius is still staring at you. You take a deep breath and tell him about your considerations. Zheng mentioned earlier that starting the ritual would drain his spiritual power. When his strength is greatly reduced, perhaps we can stand a chance against him in a 2 versus 1 situation. I also have a jar of messenger bugs called candleflies for communication that look just like ordinary fireflies. But it can contain hidden special messages, and its energy fluctuation is minimal, making it difficult for the monsters to detect. Things are urgent now. We can release them later and report the current situation back to the Bureau. Based on previous emergency response times, the Bureau should arrive just in time to provide backup during the ritual.
俺たちじゃできることは限られてる。リスクがあっても確実に捕まえるためにできることはやっておこう。
Yes, but we still need to be prepared. Candlefly is far from ordinary for monsters. They might find the phosphorescent strange. If anything goes wrong, we'll have no choice but to fight our way out. No matter what choice you make, the road ahead is treacherous. But you feel no fear, and you know Marius doesn't either. After a brief pause, you change the topic to the day of metal and stone. If we can make it to the ritual day without any issues, ideally, we can learn the true method of sealing Taoti's condensed essence from Zheng and wait for backup from the Bureau. If the backup arrives late, we can try to stall for time, but if Taoti's condensed essence... You pause for a moment, still unsure how to express it, when Marius' voice echoes in the air.
儀式中 そうは術をかけ続けてる。もし行元を完全に封印できないと分かった時は、直接叩くしかない。命をかけて。死ぬことになろうが、全力で儀式を壊して、あいつの野望を止めなきゃ。
Marius, You look at Marius in a daze. He says what's on your mind. He speaks about death so casually, making the heavy weight of it sound incredibly light. Seeing your expression, Marius smiles. It's purer than the white snow of midwinter and brighter than the sunny days of late summer.
どうしたの？そんな驚いちゃってさ。あんたと一緒だよ。少しでも希望があるなら、怖がってらんないでしょ。もともと俺には大した時間も残ってないし、死ぬことなんかどうってことない。あんたがいてくれるなら、怖くないよ。
Me too. Having made up your mind, you and Marius briefly discuss what to do next. You decide to respond to Zeng's proposal tomorrow morning and try to gather more information before the ritual begins. The night has grown deep, and the high-hanging moon appears even more pristine in the sky. You walk to an open corner of the garden, ready to release the candleflies. You bend down and carefully take out a delicate, translucent jade jar from your sleeve pocket. The candleflies inside the jar have not yet been awakened, emitting only a faint glow.
これが刑か？どうすればいいわけ？
You'll find out soon enough. You place the jar in your palm, close your eyes to review all the information you've gathered so far, and then gently kiss the jar opening to break the seal. The scattered glimmers in the jar grow brighter and gradually gather around the opening, seeming to burst out at any moment. You take a deep breath and form a spell with your left hand. Flickering candleflies, ride the wind as my messenger. By my command, disperse. Before your words fade, a swarm of candleflies surges forth and swirl in the air. They gather around Marius and you, flickering in the darkness like falling stars. Marius extends his hand and a candlefly lands on his finger. After a brief moment, it flutters its wings, leaving a trail of light as it flies away. The remaining candleflies also begin to fly away, following along the grass and crossing over the tall garden walls. They float in the sky like scattered starlight.
綺麗だな。これが本当に、あんたとホタルを話す遊びだったらよかったのに。
Marius is still gazing at the candleflies as they fly away. You gaze at his profile with warmth welling up in your heart. The cool breeze blows gently, tousling his hair and stirring something in your heart. For no particular reason, you want to ask him a question. Marius, once this is over, would you like to go to the temple fair together? By the time you realize you've thought out loud, it's too late. He has already heard it, and amidst the glow of candleflies, he turns to look at you. The nearby candleflies cast a faint, gentle glow around his face, and his lips curve into a tender smile.
いいね。一緒に行こう。
Such a beautiful wish and promise. Some emotions are stirring deep inside, as if they will burst forth if you don't hold them back. What should have been a romantic moonlit moment is interrupted when Marius suddenly frowns, looking ill at ease. You immediately realize that you are making his thoughts stir uncontrollably. You quickly clear your throat to break this intimate atmosphere. He immediately notices his change in demeanor and lowers his gaze, adjusting his breathing to regain his composure. Alright, let me help you steady your pulse. The power of the bluebird can help control your instability to some extent. Even if Zeng reveals his true form again, you won't be easily affected by him anymore.
わかった。俺は何をすればいい？
Give me your hand. Marius extended his hand obediently. You gently pinch his wrist, feeling his strong pulse beating. As your fingertips touch his skin, you two share a gentle warmth. You whisper the spell, and the energy of the blue bird passes through you, slowly transferring into Marius. The moonlight is bright, and the breeze carries you too. A peaceful and tender emotion flows through the air. Holding Marius' hand, you wish this night would last forever. Reception room. In the hall on the other side, Zeng keeps his eyes closed as he leisurely savors his tea, quietly listening to the server's report. He slowly opened his eyes after the server finishes speaking.
つまり、彼らは取り乱すこともなく、夕食後に庭園を散策していたと。
さようでございます、親方様。泉様と花のあやかしは確かに思いを通わせております。お二人で蛍を放っていて、種族の違いはあれど、なかなか気が利いているようで。
蛍？
Zeng frowns with apparent displeasure. The server steps forward and proudly presents a silk handkerchief inside which lies a quiet, ordinary candlefly.
ご覧ください。何の変哲もない虫にございます。念のため一匹捕まえてまいりました。
Zeng stares at the firefly for a long time, and in the end he raises his eyebrows and lets out a scornful laugh.
人間もやるではないか。危うく伝令の虫を見逃すところであった。なれば、あの花のあやかしは、いや人間か。道理で人間に心を寄せるわけだ。
親方様、まさか。
Upon knowing this secret, the server widens his eyes in terror, but Zeng remains unusually calm. He taps on the pure wood armrest. His expression is arrogant and haughty as ever.
騒ぐな。何を緊張する必要がある。奴らがその気なら遊びに付き合うのもまた一興。仕掛けた罠が役に立ちそうだ。我々は黙って見ていればよい。
As the voice of Zeng echoes, the shadow cast on the folding screen begins to transform, finally becoming the silhouette of a massive, ferocious beast. After a sleepless night, Marius and Yu meet with Zeng the next day to express his willingness to cooperate. Zeng seems very pleased and repeatedly assures Yu that he will keep his promise. Before leaving, Zeng hands the casket to Marius, emphasizing once again the importance of sealing Tao Tie's essence within it. Marius responds with a silent smile and a nod to show his understanding. This vast courtyard is like a sea of chaos, its surface seemingly calm yet concealing turbulent undercurrents beneath. In the interplay of light and shadow, everyone awaits and trembles at the coming of the day of metal and stone. Forbidden Forest behind the mountain. Time flies by like a fleeting flash, and after the long wait, the day of the sealing ritual finally arrives. Before 1 p.m., the once bright sky has already begun to darken. Marius and you make your way once again to enter the altar hidden in the forest. Around the altar, ritual candlesticks are arranged according to the heavenly stems and earthly branches, with red banners bearing incantations hanging from the stone pillars, and green flames have ignited in the bronze cauldron in the center of the platform. The wind blows, stirring up flickering sparks. Everything in this moment feels solemn and dignified. Zeng stands not far away, with several unfamiliar subordinates by his side.
泉殿、よく来てくれた。
Upon seeing you two arrive, Zeng raises his eyes and gives a casual greeting. Marius nods in response and then looks at those subordinates.
そちらの方々は？
おう、私が呼んだあやかしだ。五法といって重要な風霊の儀式に欠かせない護衛よ。行け、役目を果たすがいい。
He nods toward his subordinates, and upon receiving the signal, they quickly disperse and take their positions around the altar, which correspond to different hexagram directions. You notice there are 7 guards in total, which result in a vacancy in fire hexagram in the east direction. Why would one be missing? Before you can think it through, a tiny kind of fly secretly lands on your shoulder. It's the kind of fly released the night before last. It slowly crawls behind your ear and sends a sealed message. Reinforcements dispatched arriving at 3 p.m. Hold your ground. Those words bring a glimmer of hope. You quickly tug on Marius' sleeve, eager to share this news with him.
お姉さん、どうかしたの？
You look at Marius silently, take half a step closer to him, and quickly write a 3 in his palm. He stands there in a daze for a few seconds, but quickly understands the meaning behind your gesture. He gently places his hand on yours, his expression softening.
わかった。必ず成し遂げないとね。
His answer is firm yet gentle. If people who don't know the full story and see you two behaving like this, they might just think that you're promising to be together forever. After the ritual, your movements catch Zeng's attention, and his gaze lingers between Marius and you, his expression somewhat meaningful.
ご両人、仲がいいのは結構だが、今は控えてもらおうか。儀式を無事に終えるためにも、泉殿、貴殿の割愛の精神が不可欠なのだ。
割愛？どういう意味だ？
Zeng just smiles without answering, his eyes fixed on you. The freezing wind makes his expression seem almost sinister.
貴殿らも護衛の配置を見ただろう。今は八家のうち東の利を書いている。だがあの方位は最も重要でな。泉殿に一番近く、万が一儀式に不備があれば、いち早く対応できる。花のあやかしよ。お前の揚力は波のあやかしをしのぐ上に、方位の相性もいい。何より泉殿の間柄を思えば、あの方位を守るのにお前以外の適任はいないのだ。泉殿の安全と儀式の成功のために引き受けてくれるな。
So that's what he meant by useful back then. Zeng's face bears an enigmatic smile as you exchange glances with Marius. You are certain that Zeng wouldn't joke about the success of the ritual. Whatever other schemes he might have, being close to Marius would make it easier to face any threats together. With this in mind, you nod to Zeng. Of course, I'm willing. The fire in the bronze cauldron grows brighter, and the candles around the altar are lit one by one, while the red banners flutter in the wind under the twinkling lights. A brief glimpse of sunlight flashes across the sky before being swallowed by gloom, and the forest leaves suddenly shift from rustling to dead silence. Finally, it's 1 p.m. now. Marius and Zeng stand on opposite sides of the cauldron, facing each other from east to west. You and the other guards stand at the equal positions and start chanting the protective spell. Clusters of light patterns gradually form a light wall. Zeng slowly extends and raises his hand. A translucent crimson jet flies in mid-air and suddenly stops. His pupils gradually turn into vertical slits, glowing with a red light.
100代の赤き目のを砕いて、1000年の揚力を解く。風霊の儀を始めよう。
With a sharp shout from Zeng, the jade shatters instantly, scattering crimson ripples across the ground. In an instant, the sky darkens and the land twists. A crushing storm-like force surges toward the center of the altar from all directions. The force comes with overwhelming intensity, heavy and oppressive. It feels like there's some hidden spirit inside it, screaming and sending chills down your spine. Marius raises his hand to his chest and lets out a light cough, clearly feeling unwell. Zone keeps his hand raised, his vertical pupils fixed intently on Marius. At this moment, with his human body and monster eyes, he looks very creepy and eerie.
泉殿、これは始まりに過ぎない。
As soon as those words are spoken, everyone feels that overwhelming force pass invisibly through their bodies, gradually converging upon the cauldron in the center. The surrounding temperature keeps dropping, yet the green flames burn more fiercely. The crimson jade that has shattered on the platform mysteriously floats up again, turning into countless tiny fragments. In the blink of an eye, a vacuum forms around the altar and everyone's breathing is infinitely slowed, signaling the approach of a critical moment.
まさに、これこそが真の始まりだ。
With a deafening boom, time begins to flow once again. The world changes in an instant as Zeng reveals his true form. Countless jade fragments shatter into fine powder, seeping into the cracks of the stone platform with a faint glow, as a giant leopard-like beast raises its sharp claws and lets out a terrifying roar. The surging energy around Zeng manifests like a mist, and the coils around Marius like vines. Without a doubt, he is draining his power to cast a spell on Marius. Unable to fully bear such power all at once, Marius stumbles and lets out a painful groan. His embroidered robe flutters in the wind before your eyes. Marius! You want to reach out and help him, but you know you can't. The ritual is still ongoing, and Tao Te has not yet been separated. This pain can only be endured by him alone. Stay focused, concentrate, and defend. Light patterns surge and starlight scatters everywhere. All you can do is strengthen the protective spell and stabilize the formation to ensure the ritual goes safely. Seeing Marius like this, Zeng feels no sympathy at all. Instead, he intensifies the force he is applying. Rolling crimson mist intertwines with green flames, ghostly and dangerous, as demonic energy tries to strip something from Marius' body like giant waves devouring the shore.
苦しいか、存分に苦しむがいい。泉の一族を自由にするための代償だ。
Marius clenches his fists, and you know he is trying hard to endure the pain. His shadow on the stone platform begins to change, like the phantom of a Tao Te struggling. Gradually, the edges of that shadow becomes more distinct, revealing the form of a beast. Without a doubt, is Tao Te's true form. Though merely a phantom, it is as tangible as reality. It has sharp horns and fangs clinging to Marius' back as if trying to escape the prison built of blood and flesh.
これだけの年月を経て、また日の目を見ることになるとは。お前、黙ってろ!
The sight before you is bizarre yet real. Marius and Tao Te are both awakening, fighting over a single consciousness. You gasp while struggling to maintain the protective spell, feeling a desperate urgency to end this separation quickly. Suddenly, a strong wind begins to howl, rustling through the forest. The gloomy sky grows even darker as the phantom of Tao Te becomes hazy and withdraws behind Marius. Several candles are blown out, and Zeng violently spits out a mouthful of blood, the vicious greenish liquid splattering all over the ground. You know exactly what is happening. The blood-bound transaction is now fighting against Zeng. Separating out Tao Te is anything but easy. In the raging wind, Zeng raises his head once again to cast another spell. He turns sideways and reignites the candle with his mind. Yet amidst the wind, you hear a faint, gentle calling.
お姉さん。お姉さん。
After a long and agonizing struggle, the mist dissipates. Tauti is finally extracted from Marius' body, forming a condensed essence that hovers above his head. Ironically, as the incarnation of desires, Taotia's condensed essence is as flawless as a luminous pearl emitting a soft silver glow. The wind is still blowing and the dark clouds have not dispersed. As the ritual continues, Marius is already struggling to stay up, kneeling on the ground and breathing heavily, his forehead glistening with sweat. Zheng, located to the west, is equally battered as Marius. Having depleted his energy and transformed back into human form, he clutches his chest, struggling to stay upright as greenish blood seeps from his mouth.
ついに成功だ。泉殿、どうすべきかはわかるであろ
う。もちろん。
After adjusting his breath, Marius agrees with the light tone and slowly stands up. While others aren't paying attention, you get ready a spell at the back of your left palm as a precaution, silently counting the time. It's already 3 p.m. Backup should be here any moment. The glowing condensed essence still hangs in mid-air as Marius takes the casket that Zheng gives him before. He raises his head and effortlessly takes the essence into his palm. The silver light isn't hot but more captivating than moonlight. Zheng stares intently at Marius' movements, but in the next moment, instead of opening the casket, Marius clutches the essence and looks at Zheng fearlessly.
泉殿、どういう了見だ。
The wind sweeps through Marius' robe and long hair. You can't make out his expression, but you can only hear his voice.
それは、お前自身に聞くといい。こんな入れ物で、東鉄の行言が封印できると思うのかってさ。
After he finishes speaking, Marius tosses the casket into the cauldron, where searing green flames instantly devours it, reducing it to ashes. Zheng's face becomes distorted in the green flames. He watches Marius' movement without even batting an eye, looking completely unfazed. Everything confirms your and Marius' suspicion. This casket is just a cover for deception, and there must be another way to seal Tautier. Seeing his scheme exposed, Zheng doesn't get angry but instead smiles. He leisurely wipes the blood from the corner of his mouth and then starts clapping his hands.
実に見事だ。私の思った通り、最初から協力するつもりがなかったな。押村区は虚言を浪するのは貴殿らだけではないということ。最後に勝つのはこの私。
What? Wait, isn't it already 3 p.m.? Why aren't they? You count down the minutes and it's already 3 p.m., but the forest remains dark and gloomy with no sign of anyone from the mysterious burrow. Your heart skips a beat as a strong sense of unease washes over you. Marius also notices something is wrong, his expression darkening, but before you can think it through, Zheng takes 2 more steps forward. His face becomes increasingly distorted in the green fire, and the leaping flames now hissing like vipers with forked tongues. What is he about to say?
顔色が悪いな。さては待ち人が来なくて焦っているのか。
どうしてお前がそれを。
泉殿、人間ごときの小細工が私に通じると思ったか。長い時を生きてきたが記憶は衰えていないのでな。祝歌の蔓延した時代にこの目で見ているのだ。最古の伝令中を。すでにこの山には霧の結界を巡らせてある。万霊町の者どもは当面の間来られないだろう。
Waiting any longer is pointless. In situations like this, Zheng won't tell you the real method to seal the Taoti's essence. Without hesitation, you immediately drop your protective spell gestures and switch to an offensive stance, while Marius bites his lips and raises his arm to conjure a purple light spear from his blood. But the bluebird's grease turn energy into attack. Release!
泉の名のもとに命じる。この血をもって打ち破れ。
Your attacks cause a piece of the light wall to shatter, followed by successive cracks and thunderous sounds. The monster guards are knocked down by the resulting shockwave. Among countless shards of light, a white light and a purple light intertwine, aiming directly for Zeng's face. Dust clouds rise instantly, filling the air with a burning smell. Did it hit? Before the dust settles, Zeng emerges from the billowing smoke. He gathers his powers that is maintaining the ritual while leisurely wiping the blood from his lips. However, the sky remains overcast, with no sign of the sun, and the howling wind indicates that the ritual hasn't stopped because of this, nor is there any sign of backlash. What could that be?
まさか私を攻撃すれば儀式を止められると本気で考えていたのか？一度始めた儀式は最後まで止められない。一ラヨの制約も生きている。東鉄の封印に必要なのは生贄だ。貴殿な人間は好きだろう？限られた時間内に行元を健康な人間の体内に収めればよい。さもなくば行元は実体を取り戻して東鉄として再び世に権限するだろう。
そんな。
What are you talking about? You and Marius speak at the same time. A chill running down your spines. You never thought that sealing away Taotie must involve sacrificing a living person. Zeng's voice echoes again, each word like a death-beckoning ghostly hand trying to drag you into hell.
そうそう、泉殿。貴殿は一度取りつかれているから健康というには程遠い。万が一その身で行元を食らえば東鉄を封じた器となる。生も死もなく意識もない異形となり果てるだろう。さて見せてもらおう。哀れで卑怯な人間は何を選ぶのか。自由か種族か。彼女を死なせるのか東鉄を生かすのか。貴殿らに残された時間は少ないからな。
The wind grows colder. You are only a few steps away from Marius. You gaze at each other in silence. His words are clearly intended not just for Marius, but for you as well. He simply wants to watch you to fight and kill each other for a chance to survive. There's no other choice, yet choice is all that remains. You absolutely cannot let Tao Te escape, but who will be the one to swallow the condensed essence? Will it be him or you? The reason human race can achieve greatness and forge peace is because countless nameless heroes are willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. You are like this, and so is Marius. In each other's eyes, you see the same choice. Maybe you are more determined than him, because deep down you really hope he can live on to witness the beautiful landscapes from now on, more than you hope for yourself. Without thinking any further, you lunge forward toward Marius, trying to grab the condensed essence from his hand, your outstretched fingers just inches away from reaching it. Fragments of the light wall continue to fall, and amidst the sparkling light, Marius is one step ahead of you, raises the condensed essence to his lips. No! Marius stares at you with a warm smile, and then closes his eyes and raises his head, swallowing that round, flawless essence. Forbidden forest behind the mountain. The moment it is swallowed, the whole world changes in an instant. Wind widely sweeps across the mountains, thunder roars beneath the dark clouds, and sharp stones erupt from the altar. As if he has devoured all good and sin, Marius falls to his knees. Black flower suddenly blooms across his face, bewitchingly beautiful and burning hot. Marius! Even as the world collapses around you, you still desperately rush to Marius, clutching tightly at the thorny ring on his collar. Under the black flowers, his skin flickers with patterns reminiscent of Taltia, signaling that Marius is transforming into a monstrous being. You gaze at him as the cold wind stings your skin. Your vision begins to blur, and you can't tell if it is due to the shock of this dramatic change or your misty eyes. No, it should be me. I should swallow it. You've suffered so much already. This time, I should be the one to make the sacrifice. Marius calls violently. Blood spills from the corner of his mouth, but there is no pain in his expression. Instead, he struggles to appear relaxed and cheerful. He raises his hand slightly and touches your shoulder with his left hand. You can feel his body temperature rapidly dropping and becoming cold.
それは違うよ、お姉さん。あんたは生きるべきだ。一人が犠牲にならないといけないなら。俺には最初から先なんてなかったからな。
Mary's tone is gentle, as if soothing a baby. You keep shaking your head, letting hot tears fall onto your arms. Your hands bleed from gripping the thorny ring, yet you feel no pain. Only when true loss arrives do you understand how cruel and merciless it can be. Hold on a little longer. Trust me, the Omni Spirit's Bureau will be here soon. We'll find a way. I promise you'll live for many, many more years. You shake your head, refusing to accept his words. It's like a form of self-deception, but you would rather plant this hope, as illusory as it may be, in his heart than see him so resign. Why can't time flow backwards? If it could, you would surely. But it's all too late now. In this world, there is no what ifs. Marius gently cups your face, tenderly running his fingers through your hair for the first time. In those deep ocean-like eyes, you can clearly read his feelings. He loves you as deeply as you love him.
そんなに泣かないで。俺まで辛くなっちゃうじゃん。俺だって考えたよ。もっと長生きできればお姉さんといっぱい会えるだろうなってね。だけど天命とやらは俺を地獄の淵に落としたいらしい。この先に暗闇しかないなら一人で行くよ。
Bitter tears fall like pearls in succession, each splash leaving an imprint of pain and love etched upon your heart. Suddenly, a black mist envelops Marius, as if trying to slowly drag him down to the abyss, while the black flowers on his cheek bloom ever more ominously, foretelling something horrifying. No, I won't let you become a monster. I'm blessed by the bluebird. I can only save you. Please, Marius, don't give up. If even you choose to give up on yourself, how can I? Without thinking, you swiftly raise your hand and cast every healing spell you can remember, one after another, desperate to save his life. Perhaps you've truly gone mad, trying to challenge an ancient sealing ritual with the power of the bluebird. A faint green glow envelops him and you, silently transmitting your power. Seeing you like this, Marius seems to finally understand your persistence. He lifts his head in pain and presses his forehead against yours, as if replaying what had happened in that corner before.
わかった。お姉さん、信じてるよ。あんたが俺を助けてくれるって。万霊町の人たちもすぐに来てくれるんだよね。
The green light continues to shine as time trickles by, moment by moment. The gale rages on, rod shatters, and a glimpse of sunlight struggles to pierce the glass. Yet the black mist gradually envelops Marius, showing no signs of urgency. Marius smiles faintly, very faintly. He tries to raise his hand to caress your face, but no longer has the strength.
お姉さんともっと一緒にいたかった。異形になってもあんたを覚えていられるかな。
Tears keep falling uncontrollably. Just as you are about to see something to respond, an angry roar pierces through the biting wind. You turn around and see him once again, revealing his true form. Amidst the wild winds and scattered rocks, the ancient leopard-like monster sends waves of intimidating pressure as if gone mad. He opens his mouth wide and roars at you.
許さん。卑しい人間め。貴様らは正に執着し、同士討ちするのはお似合いだろうに。くだらん。よくも私の計画を台無しにしてくれたな。死をもって償うがいい。
Shut up! You're the one who's going down. Without a second thought, you instinctively cast an attack spell behind you, with only one thing on your mind: to completely tear apart them. Two opposing forces collide, unleashing a tremendous roar in an instant. Stone pillars crumble, the cauldron topples, and flame spread across the ground. Amidst the roaring sound, a searing white light flares up, stinging your eyes. Tears and pain make your vision blur, and then, through the haze, a familiar voice reaches you.
支援部隊到着しました。目標発見。指示をお願いします。
You have a dream, and in it there is that tree in full bloom. Someone is standing under the tree waiting for you. His head is lower so you can't make out his face. The gentle breeze tousles his hair and scatters petals as he stands there playing with the green jade pendant in his waist, making crisp clicking sound. You know who he is and why he is standing there waiting for you. Your heart is pounding and you quickly walk toward him as he slowly raises his head. Dormitory. Marius! You suddenly open your eyes, but instead of seeing the person you are expecting, you see the familiar ceiling, blindingly white with the glaring lights swaying above. A wave of melancholy washes over you. You can't tell if it is disappointment or sadness. You try to move, but you feel sharp pain all over your body. Ouch. Only then do you realize that your entire body is injured and you are lying in the dorm bed recovering.
お姉さん、目が覚めたんだね。大丈夫？
You hear a familiar voice and your mind goes blank for a moment. Acting purely on instinct, you turn your head toward the sound. It's him, the person from your dream. He is half lying on the bed edge, looking at you with delight. His eyes are sparkling, yet his face bears the unmistakable sign of fatigue, as if he has been waiting for you forever. You find it hard to believe and stare at him in a daze. Are you still dreaming, or have you both already died? The person before you simply smiles at your reaction. He then takes your hand and places it against his cheek.
そう、俺だよ。ご覧の通り、ちゃんと生きてる。あの日、こうやって器になるんだなって俺も思ってたけど、まさか。
Before he can finish speaking, you instinctively embrace him, completely forgetting about the pain. The warm sunlight from outside pierces through the glass, falling upon the overlapping shadows of Marius and you. I'm glad you're alive. Thank goodness.
うん。
Hearing Marius calls, you realize how thoughtless your behavior is. Well, You stammer at a loss for words while Marius' face is flushed.
お姉さんは目覚めたばっかりだし、休んでて。 果物を切ってあげるからさ。
While you are eating the fruit, Marius tells you what happened after that day. That day, after breaking through the fog barrier, the backup team from the Bureau arrived just in time. After a fierce battle, they finally arrested Zeng and his subordinates, while Marius and you were sent for treatment. As for why Marius doesn't end up becoming a creature whose fate is unknown, no conclusion has been reached yet even after discussions and research at the Bureau. One explanation is that through Tao Te's sealing, meaning giving up all desires, even life. Another is that the bluebird's power provides divine protection for him. But at this moment, neither explanation seems to matter. For you, just having him here is enough. I knew you would survive, and you'll live for many, many more years. Thankfully, we never gave up hope and kept searching for a way until the very end.
誰が何と言おうと、今俺が生きて自由になれたのは、全部あんたのおかげだ。この恩は、俺の一生をかけて返したい。
Marius' words are sincere and moving. After coming so close to death, he has become even more outgoing. The past dissolves like smoke, and a new clear sky is on the horizon. As you finish eating the fruit, Marius hands you a handkerchief to wipe your mouth, tilting his head as if remembering something.
そうだ。お姉さん、前に言ってくれたことは、まだ有効？これが終わったら一緒にお祭り行こうって約束してくれたじゃん？
The candlefly's luminous trails reappear, and their scattered lights in the night sky bring back your memories of that evening in the garden. Looking into Marius' earnest gaze, you nod repeatedly. Of course, I never go back on my word. Temple Fair. After some time of recuperation, you have recovered greatly. The day you and Marius agreed to go to the temple fair together finally arrives. The temple fair in Hatsu City has always been lively, with colorful lanterns hung high and red banners swaying in the wind. The bustling crowd infused a dynamic vibe, exuding joy and happiness. You walk side by side with Marius on the street, chatting casually along the way, occasionally stopping at stalls to look at interesting trinkets. You talk about many things, experiences in youth, each other's dreams, and somehow the conversation circles back to Tao Tie. Come to think of it, you haven't told me what happened to Tao Tie after swallowing its condensed essence. Did he completely disappear?
消えたって言ってもいいんじゃないかな。もう実体も意識もない。力だけ残ってるけど、俺の体に溶けて一つになったから。
You are completely relieved to hear Marius say that. I see. That sounds like good news.
かもね。こうなるとは思わなかったけど、泉家は自由を手に入れたんだ。
Marius sighs wistfully as he looks up at the distant sky. Following his gaze, you see white birds flying through the crystal clear blue sky. After passing by a stall selling candied hawthorns, you stop at a stall filled with velvet flower hairpins, the kind of gift that's clearly meant for lovers. You pick up one and twirl it on your hand. Under the lingering sunlight, the delicate and vibrant flower hairpin becomes even more vivid and dazzling. Marius watches your movements in silence, seemingly anticipating that you would put on the hairpin. Inexplicably, every moment you've shared with Marius comes surging back, turning into an impulse. Right, since we're at the temple fair today, shouldn't you get me a gift? Your half-joking tone betrays a certain feeling. Marius' eyes flash with joy and tenderness, but just as hope is swelling boundlessly in your heart, he gently shakes his head. Huh? You can't help but feeling frustrated and lost your composure, but the next moment Marius grabs your hand. The sun is shining brightly and the faint fragrance of flowers wafts from the street. He gazes at you, his lips curving into a tender smile.
好きだよ。今までも、これからも。でも、無責任な約束はしたくない。俺には、まだ確かめなきゃいけないことがあるから。この力に他の影響はないのか、自由になった泉家がこれからどうするべきか、いろいろ心配で。
No more words are needed. You already know what Marius means. It's a deep and sincere love. He wants a lifelong commitment after careful consideration to only be with you. Isn't this exactly what you wanted? And you've already made up your mind. Then let me make my promise to you first. No matter what happens in the future, good or bad, let's face it together, okay? Marius is slightly taken aback, but a moment later he wraps his arms around your waist, his eyes radiating warmth.
わかったよ。お姉さん、一緒に付き合って。
The warmth of his touch falls with his words, light and gentle, landing on your eyebrows, lips, and heart. Suddenly, the wind picks up again. The fluttering red banner and light gauze caress your face, as if trying to feel you beneath their gentle touch. You believe that this time you will never lose him again, and all the wonderful things are just around the corner, on their way, arriving soon. How are you? Have you gotten used to the Taotia's power within you during your recovery at home?
まだ少し慣れない。なんていうか、まだ黒い花が咲いてる気がするんだよね。多分、東鉄の力がものすごく強くて、うまく適応できてないかも。
Does it hurt? Do you want me to help?
お姉さんが
Since the power of Bluebird can benefit you in the ritual, preventing you from becoming a creature caught between life and death, that should also help reduce the pain from merging powers. Come closer to me. Let me try casting a spell on you.
絶対に忘れない。もう二度と、俺の顔に黒い花は咲かないって。ここに触って、俺の本音が聞きたいのそんなの、とっくに知ってるでしょ。宝石を食べてると胃も悪くなってさ。でも休んだおかげで良くなったよ。はあ、今のでだいぶ楽になった。あんたがいてくれてよかった。
Alright, Taotia's power shouldn't affect you anymore, at least for now.
お姉さん、まだ行かないでよ。もっと話したいんだ。
Okay, what do you want to say?
そうだな。東鉄が消えて自由になって、それでいろいろと考えたけど、俺の未来はあの数字で止まらなくなったでしょ。だからさ、時間があるとき一緒に出かけてみるのはどう？北極の国の星空とかすっごく綺麗だって。
Sounds good. It's been a while since I've looked at the stars too, but besides the starry sky, there are many beautiful places in the world. Perhaps it would take a lifetime to see them all. It's not just a day or two, but a long journey ahead. Are you really ready to go through it with me?
そうだよ、お姉さん。人生っていう長い旅に連れて行くのはあんただけ。 四季の移ろい、世界中にある美しいものをあんたの隣でずっと見届けていきたいんだ。